Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we got a lot of things to talk about today. We got severe weather possible across parts of the mid-Atlantic states later today. We also got another chance of severe weather. This will be going on with a different low pressure system across parts of the plains here. Could be significant for some areas. We also got a nor'easter that'll be impacting parts of New England states. Could bring in high winds and also a lot of rain as well. We also got a big upper level low to be moving in across the eastern United States later this week. Across a good chunk of the eastern United States, could bring in some widespread rain showers, um, some high winds as well, and also below average temperatures as well. We'll also kind of check out a little bit long range as well, kind of beyond that as well. So we're going to get started with the GFS model here. We're going to try to go this day by day of what's going to be coming first, and then after that, we'll kind of do that type of thing here. So what's going to be going on today here? So one thing at least here would be severe weather across parts of the mid-Atlantic states, and also for even for some of the Appalachian Mountain regions as well. If we do check out the SPC Outlook here for today, we have a slight risk for severe weather across a good chunk of the western half of North Carolina, northeastern Tennessee, far southeastern Kentucky, southeastern West Virginia, and for the majority of Virginia and far southern Maryland. We could see some isolated tornadoes out there today. The greatest risk looks to be in uh, North Carolina and southern Virginia. Damage winds will be the main threat. Hail will be possible across parts of the really mainly focused from northern North Carolina up into Pennsylvania as well. If we do check out the HRRR model here, it's done alright last night here. And I tell you what, them storms were pretty nasty last night. If you guys want to watch the live stream, I'll have the card up there on the top right of your screen. If you guys want to rewatch that stream. Um, but anyways, around this time here, at least later this afternoon here, we'll have a surface low that's going to be in Ohio, 1,004 millibars. So it won't be as bad as yesterday. Some storms may try to fire up in parts of North Carolina and Virginia out there. And then along this frontal boundary right here, a little bit this alpha boundary here, we start to see some new storms that start to form here. Your actual culprit is still back here, back in eastern Kentucky and southeastern Ohio. This is just what looks to be an alpha boundary. This will be the leftover showers of storms that went through parts of Kentucky and Tennessee this morning. You do see here when these storms start to cluster up, that's when that damage wind threat starts to increase, and we may get to see maybe a quick spit up tornado or two along that line of storms as well. And that moves a little further to the east later into the evening hours. If we check out them significant tornado parameters, which did not do too bad yesterday. Usually over a 1, you do have the environment's favorable for a tornado, but if it's above a 2, that'd be favorable for stronger tornadoes. And typically these numbers here are a little bit higher in on the scale here. Always a little bit higher in when it comes to significant tornado parameters on weather models. And you see, as you can see here, the significant tornado parameters are not really that aggressive here. It's actually below a 1 for pretty much everybody. So the HERB model is not really showing much of the way of a tornado threat. But we'll get a couple soundings out here. So we'll get this one right here in central Virginia and see what we get. And looks like one thing that'll be lacking a little bit is some wind shear out here. Sorry, the Felicity numbers will be on the lower end here. However, 3 Cape does support tornadoes as well. There is some instability involved. You also have some wind direction of height as well. So there is some wind shear in that environment as well. As we kind of move it to eastern Kentucky, here's another little hotspot area. Wind shear is a little bit better here. Sorry, to Felicity values are a little bit closer or around 150. Lap rates are not too bad either. Downdraft K doesn't really support a damaging wind threat. They are maybe a little bit dry here. I mean, 60 degree dew point's kind of on the edge there. In the photograph, it's a little bit on the smaller end as well. So maybe a quick spin up tornado may be possible, but the her doesn't seem too impressed here with the tornado threat. Maybe until later in the evening here. And actually does show the greatest tornado threat, maybe into parts of central North Carolina later in the night. And usually in the later in the night time, it's when the wind shear does increase, which it does show values of over 200, which will be favorable for some isolated tornadoes. The photograph isn't bad either, and there's also some instability to support it. So a pretty decent setup here for maybe some quick spin up tornadoes. An area I'll probably watch for any possible tornadoes will probably in this region in here. But the HER model does show a better cluster of storms up here, kind of closer to the Virginia and North Carolina border. That's probably why the SPC has a 5% risk there, uh, because the HER model does predict that we may get to see some better clusters there, a better cluster of thunderstorms, and could lead to a QLCS tornado threat, which that means that's kind of tornadoes along squall. That's basically what that means. And the tornado threat should decrease into the overnight hours there as well. So, but generally speaking here, damage, strong winds, quick spin of tornadoes, and maybe some small hail looks to be the main threats from these storms as well. But the area I'll probably be more focused on will probably for Central Virginia into parts of Central North Carolina as well. That's probably an area I would focus on as well. Another area we may need to watch for is the storms that form along the cold front, back into parts of eastern Kentucky, southeastern Ohio, and maybe into parts of West Virginia as well. So we'll watch for that too. So that's today out of the way. Let's check in tomorrow. So there's going to be two things ongoing tomorrow. Number one, we get a new surface low that comes out of the Rockies here. They'll bring in some snow in the higher elevations in Colorado. And at the same time, we got severe weather that will try to develop in the plains here. You definitely see there, those isobars are close to each other here. That means there are some strong southerly winds here. And when you kind of get to later into the nighttime hours, that cap starts to break, and then we start to see some showers of thunderstorms develop, and some of those could be supercells as well. Also, at the same time here, we got a nor'easter that happens up in the New England states. GFS shows a 974 millibar low up there as well. But let's talk about the severe weather first. And here's the SPC Outlook here for tomorrow. We got a enhanced risk for severe weather from central Kansas down into parts of western Oklahoma and west central Texas. The tornado threat looks to be mainly focused in parts of southern Kansas, western Oklahoma, and parts of northern Texas. Damage and winds will be one of the main threats, but hail is also possible as well. It could be very large when you get into the western part of Oklahoma, even to parts of southwestern Kansas as well. Could see some significant hail, which will be 2 inches or larger in diameter. That's what that will mean. And we'll also use a HER model for this one here as well. So at 23Z, so this is getting closer to the evening hours. You got a 91 millibar low up in parts of western Nebraska. Looks like it kind of dies down a little bit, but still shows some cluster thunderstorms that form out there. Looks like these will be more in a variety of cluster thunderstorms than supercells. However, it does show maybe some supercell storms, maybe into parts of northwestern Oklahoma and southern Kansas. You also do notice back down in Texas, it shows a large cluster of thunderstorms down there as well, which damage winds will probably be the main threat with those. You can see how that coastal thunderstorms continues to move on to the east here, but with instability kind of backing off, seeing into the overnight hours, eventually these storms should start to die down as well. We'll check out the significant tornado parameters here. See what the HERBAL indicates the greatest tornado threat for this setup here. And you can see here, the environment's definitely favorable here for tornadoes. And you can definitely see there, the numbers are probably a little bit too high for my taste here, but definitely shows a pretty substantial tornado threat. And as we kind of check out some of these soundings here, if any cell that becomes discrete um, or becomes lonely, um, that's where you kind of get that greatest tornado threat to come from. And there may be a chance one or two of those may be on the strong side. As we look into this sounding here, we got a large hodograph here. We got elevated mix layer here in the mid levels. The cap is very slight, but I'm sure with those stronger updrafts, I think it's going to blow with that cap, especially with the higher lap rates. Downdraft cape supports the damage wind threat. 3 cape supports the tornado threat. Same way with the wind shear. And there's also plenty of instability as well. There is some sign in the surface though. That may be a limiting factor. But for right now, it looks like all hazards are possible here. Large hail, damage winds, and maybe some isolated tornadoes as well. Possibly one could be on the strong side. We'll see about that, but it really depends on what type of storm mode we're going to see here. Now, the Hermal does show later into the night here some discrete cells in southern Kansas into parts of northern Oklahoma, so we'll check out this environment here. And looks like it's a better wind shear environment here. Sign in's a little bit higher end on the side, though. I don't know if we say for that. Um, but still shows all hazards possible here as well with that sounding. And as we kind of go further to the south here, this tornado threat does decrease as you kind of go further to the south, especially when you get to parts of northern Texas, which you can see here into parts of northern Texas. The wind, wow, I really messed that up. With Cape there, it's a little bit lower end than some of the higher than some the soundings a little further up north. However, there is a cap in the mid levels. That's definitely going to be a limiting factor there. Plus, sign in's a little bit higher end. There is some wind shear as well. Straight to Felicity numbers are about 300, which will be favorable for severe weather. Lap rates is on the stronger side too. Downdraft Cape definitely supports the damage wind threat, and also the hodographs are pretty good as well. If we do not get a cap there, if you could get discrete cells without a cap, we could definitely see some big storms down there as well. But right now, the herd model is really predicting a pretty good squall line of storms right now. But we'll see how the herd model will trend here over the next several runs here for what day is this? Tuesday, or you could say tomorrow. So for areas across central Kansas down through western Oklahoma into parts of northern Texas, this will be an area I will monitor here for severe weather for Tuesday, and some of it could be significant as well. Now let's talk about the nor'easter potential, and the National Hurricane Center does highlight an area for that same storm system, which may try to show some tropical characteristics. Currently, there's a 40% chance in the next 5 days here. At first, it'll be a frontal low, but then later on, sometime in the next 5 days, it may try to become more of a tropical low than a frontal low. So it may try to show some tropical characteristics, and at that point, it could be a subtropical storm or maybe a tropical storm. We'll see what happens there. But there is only one more name on the list right now. I think the name is Wanda, but I may be wrong on that. It's been a little bit since we've been talking about the tropics. But let's check out the HER model for its solution here. You kind of see two different lows here. And you got low number 1 here. This is going to be your upper level low, or this is going to be the remains from the low that produced significant severe weather back in Illinois and Missouri last night. And then you get this surface low that's out in the Atlantic here. This is the frontal low that the National Hurricane Center is talking about. And you can see here as it gets closer to Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, it starts to rapidly deepen here, and then it kind of holds off at 977 millibars. And as you kind of check the northern side here, definitely some stronger winds going on the northern side of the system here, and plus multiple rounds of showers, and also the rain can be moderate to heavy at times, and that can certainly lead to some flooding problems. You can definitely see there, it kind of sticks around for a good amount of time as well. If we check out the rainfall amounts from the HER model, which doesn't really go for any entire event, but you definitely will see here what the outcome could be with those rainfall totals. And you can see there, a lot of places could see at least 2 inches of rain, and some other places could see possibly up to 5 inches of rain as well. So certainly a lot of rain could be coming out of this nor'easter. But then again, there's not going to be any snow out of the system. Keep in mind of that, especially with the warmer sea surface temperatures here. It's definitely going to help support that heavy rainfall threat as well. This could be a better moisture supply there as well. Here's the weather prediction of thoughts here for the rainfall for the next 5 days, and it shows a widespread 4 to 6 inches of rain across far eastern Pennsylvania, most of New Jersey, southern New York, most of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and a good chunk of Massachusetts as well. So certainly a lot of rain will be coming. Here's the day 1 excessive rainfall outlook. So this is for today. Got a marginal risk across parts of New Jersey, up into parts of Connecticut, and also includes parts of Delaware and Pennsylvania as well, which it does include the New York City area. Day 2, which is tomorrow, you got slight risk for New York City up to parts of southern Maine. And then on day 3, the system will be out of here. So it really begins today, but most of that rain will be coming in tomorrow. But areas in the slight risk area will be definitely the areas I will monitor here for any potential flash flooding as well, especially in the New York City area, the highly populated areas where there's not much grassy areas. It's just concrete, buildings, roads. A lot of water's just going to slide off. So, sir, it could be another big flash flooding problem for the New York City area if they do get several inches of rain out of the system. Not only heavy rain and flooding, we also got high winds as well. You can certainly see here from the European model as we move to 4 o'clock here, which was pretty accurate last night. I'll give it some credit to the European model last night. But anyways, check out these wind gusts here. Maybe a little bit higher end, but wind gusts getting close to 70 miles per hour on Long Island. Probably a little bit high, but either way, even if we back it off a little bit, still some pretty impressive wind gusts out of this nor'easter here. And then some stronger wind gusts start to come into parts of Massachusetts with wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And that could certainly do some damage out there with some of those stronger wind gusts, tree damage, and also possible power outages as well. So this nor'easter, wow, this nor'easter, I can't really speak today. This nor'easter could certainly cause some problems across parts of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, even to parts of New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and Vermont as well, maybe into parts of southern Maine as well. Can certainly cause some issues out there as well. So certainly not a good thing for the New England states there. And then we move on to Wednesday, and at this point here, we go back to severe weather. And the greatest severe weather potential will be mainly focused in southeastern Texas, most of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, even to parts of southwestern Alabama. And the models have trended slower with this system here. And if we check out the Storm Prediction Outlook here, you do see there again with that slight risk across southeastern Texas, southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, even to parts of southwestern Alabama. We got no hatch areas highlighted, so no significant severe weather, at least forecasted at this point. For this surface low, they'll be going on pretty far to the south here, and eventually it's going to start to move a little further up to the northeast by the next day here. And this is for Wednesday. If we check out the NAM model here, you see here you got a surface low that's in northwestern Louisiana, and in the warm sector of this here, that's an area we'll have to focus on for severe weather. We'll check out the significant weather parameters from the NAM. Then again, if you're at least a 1, the conditions may be favorable for isolated tornadoes. If it's in a level 2, or if it's high as a 2, it may be favorable for stronger tornadoes. And as we kind of check this out here, really, the numbers are not that impressive here. There is some very isolated areas of it too, but the NAM doesn't really show that much of a threat of strong tornadoes. Maybe in some isolated areas, it actually shows that possibility a little bit early on. But generally here, it does show that tornado threat out there, especially in southeastern Texas, into parts of southwestern and southern Louisiana as well. And looks like into the overnight hours and moves into parts of southern Mississippi and far southwestern Alabama. But we'll get a couple soundings out there really quick. And checking out this sounding here, it's going to be a pretty high wind shear environment here, for sure. We got a large hodograph. Storm rate to felicity amounts are pretty high. Wind direction of height. Downdraft Cape doesn't really support a damage wind threat. And there's also some instability as well. 3 Cape is also pretty elevated as well. So this will be a favorable environment here for maybe some gusty winds. And maybe some isolated tornadoes of 1 or 2 of those. Maybe strong. Just getting by the amount of storm rate to felicity values we got here. I mean, it's pretty higher end. This is nearly as much as what we had with the stronger tornadoes last night in Missouri and Illinois. But it's certainly something to watch here. Things could change here. We still are a couple days away from the event, so some things could change. We'll move a little further down to the south here, and then again, it shows a pretty good hodograph here. Plenty of wind shear to work with. And it looks like it's pretty supportive for damage winds a little further south as well. We also have instability that'll be involved as well, which will be favorable for severe weather. And also mid-level lap rates is a little bit higher end as well, so that may support some stronger updrafts. So maybe some hail, strong winds, and then again some isolated tornadoes, and maybe one of those could be on the strong side again. So it's certainly something to watch here, and that tornado threat may move into parts of the New Orleans area into the overnight hours, and you can still see her from the NAM. Still shows a pretty decent environment here for tornadoes at the same time. So certainly something we'll have to watch here over the next several runs here of the model runs here, and eventually we'll get to see the Harris NAM and then the HER model, getting a range of that as well. And eventually severe weather threat will be pushed into parts of Georgia by Thursday. As we kind of go back to the GFS model here. Now here comes the next part of the video, and that's this big low pressure system here. And this is eventually going to become a big cutoff low here. What's going to happen here is it's going to get cut off from the jet stream here. It's going to stick around the Ohio Valley for a couple of days here. That's going to bring in multiple showers. Well, multiple rounds of showers across a good chunk of the eastern United States here. It'll be chilly. It'll also be a little bit windy as well. Probably 30, maybe 25 to 30 miles per hour at best. However, early on though, as we kind of go back to Thursday, there's going to be some strong winds on the backside of the system here for Kansas, Oklahoma, even to parts of Texas as well. We got strong winds coming from the north, which wind gusts could approach possibly 35 to 40 miles per hour on the backside there. And as we kind of continue on to Friday here, you get the surface low that's over West Virginia there. You can see just to the northeast of it, got some strong winds coming from the southeast here, blowing to parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland as well, bringing in multiple rounds of showers, maybe a couple thunderstorms as well. Beyond the backside of the system here, you're getting multiple rounds of showers, which could lead to general rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches as well. So a lot of people could get a decent amount of rain out of the system here, but it won't be flash flood variety type of storm. So keep in mind that. Finally, the low starts to move off to the northeast though. And here's a better look of that upper level low. And this is the 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies. And then again, like I said here, with cutoff lows, they're cut off from the jet stream. Your jet stream's up here. Your low is down here. So it's going to be cut off from the jet stream, and eventually it'll start to move off to the northeast. As you can see here, that ridge starts to move a little bit off to the northeast as well. And then at the same time here, another trough starts to move in to parts of the northern plains, and this one here may be cold enough for snow for parts of the northern plains and the upper Midwest. As we check back into the GFS model here, and most models do agree on with a big trough moving into the northern plains here, which could bring in below average temperatures and possibly first snowfall for some people there as well. And there's still some questions here if a low pressure system could try to develop along this front here. If so, possibly some snow on the backside of it. So winter's almost here. Winter looks like winter's trying to come in a little bit early this year. And this is early November here. November 2nd, we already got a big trough and snow across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, upper Michigan. Definitely pretty interesting. If you check out the K mall, so there's that big cutoff low there. And here's that same big trough here that moves in. That'll bring in some snow across parts of Colorado, Wyoming, parts of South Dakota, and western Nebraska. And that'll be a piece of energy that'll be moving a little further to the south here. Surface low does try to develop along the front there. Snow mainly focused up in Canada though. But we'll see what happens here. Definitely a very interesting setup here. And then again, all the models agreeing on a big trough here, but there's still a big question here. Could a low develop along that front? That's a big question here. When we kind of go back to Halloween time though, this is what it looks like for the United States from the Canadian model on Halloween. Then again, some things could change. Could be some snow across parts of Wyoming, South Dakota, and Nebraska. Definitely gonna be very chilly across the upper Midwest and the northern plains. Meanwhile, everywhere else seems pretty good weather for trick-or-treaters out there. Maybe some showers across the northeast. Maybe some shower activity across parts of Nevada and California. We'll go to the GFS model here. You can see here for Halloween, show something very similar here. Some snow across Colorado, Wyoming, even to parts of Nebraska, and probably some shower activity across the northeast. So really the two areas here that may get some weather activity looks to be the northeast and parts of Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska. So, but overall, really for mostly everybody here, it looks like Halloween may be pretty good this year. However, some things may change. Keep in mind that we're still at least 150 hours away from Halloween night. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put the comment section down below. Alright, you guys questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.